Good morning. This is Janet at the West End Library in Laurelton, Pennsylvania, and this month I will be reviewing the book The Quiet Boy by Ben H. Winters. Excuse me. This is the first novel I have read by Ben Winters, and my opinion is still up in the air as to whether or not I will read another of his books. The introduction of The Quiet Boy sounded very interesting, and since my usual reading genre is mystery, thriller, courtroom drama, I thought I would give it a try. This story revolves around a teenage Wesley Keener who had a fall at school and was rushed to the hospital, where after some testing, an emergency lobotomy was performed to relieve pressure on the brain from a hematoma. As a result of the procedure, Wesley had become a walking zombie who is non-communicative, does not eat, grow, but continually paces around whatever room or area he is in. He does not make contact with anyone, just walks. Jay Shank, who is a malpractice lawyer, enters the picture by introducing himself to Wesley's mother in the hospital and observes Wesley's odd behavior firsthand. Jay's adopted son, Reuben, is involved in the Keener family drama by attending meetings at his father's office and watching over Wesley's sister, Evie, while his father meets with the parents. The story flip-flops back and forth between the year that the accident happened to Wesley and 10 years later, where Jay Shank is asked by Wesley's mother to represent her husband, Rich, in a murder charge. Her husband is charged with murdering a woman who had been a prime witness during the malpractice suit against the hospital who performed Wesley's lobotomy. Jay enlists the assistance of his son Reuben, who is now in his mid-20s, to read over the murder information and help him prove that Rich is innocent. As a result of Reuben's investigations, he is reunited with Evie, who has now become an up-and-coming singer who is on the verge of possibly being successful as such. Enter Dennis, a weird and unique character who is trying to have access to Wesley because he feels Wesley is a vessel to another dimension. Dennis himself feels he is on a similar journey to becoming an enlightened being of some sort and wants to show that Wesley in his catatonic state is as well. Dennis first appears in the book during the time that Reuben was a child and his mother died of cancer, then a few years later turns up at Jay Shank's office attempting to gain access to Wesley. Then as the story flip-flops back and forth through the years, he again shows up. Dennis and his minions have several followers who are considered a cult by their bizarre behavior, beliefs, and the fact that they have to move around the country to stay ahead of the law for their many illegal activities. The woman who Wesley's father, Rich, is accused of murdering had been a scientist who discovered a rare condition that she felt was the cause of Wesley's change in character following the surgery. During the malpractice trial, there are other things that come to light, that there was good cause to sue the hospital for malpractice, but at the last minute, when the woman who eventually is murdered is on the stand, changes her testimony completely, because the leader of the cult, Dennis, had gotten to her and convinced her about his bizarre beliefs. Therefore, Jay Shank lost the malpractice suit, and because people of all backgrounds want to see the quiet boy Wesley, the family has to keep moving from place to place to keep him hidden. Years later, when the murder trial is taking place, Reuben, Jay's son, begins following up on some things that he discovered leads him to the mother of the murdered scientist, and then takes him to Alaska to a remote location where he finds Dennis and one of the cult members. Dennis at this point has, quote, transformed himself mentally into a vessel, and all he is capable of doing is pacing back and forth, just as Wesley continues to do. After being attacked by the one cult member, Reuben is able to talk to him to inquire about what all had transpired during the preceding 10 years and how they had ended up in Alaska. Prior to the murder of the scientist, she had found her way to the remote Alaskan wilderness to try and persuade Dennis that he was wrong about his visions and beliefs, but Dennis was already transformed and she had to kill one of the other cult members to escape, leaving only one left who was monitoring Dennis. The scientist had gone back to where Wesley's family was and wanted to make contact to tell them why she had changed her testimony and to try to help Wesley. All the pieces of the puzzle began to come together and then again fall apart. Questions were answered, but also many were left unanswered. The courtroom and investigative parts of the book were very involved and interesting. The cult and paranormal aspects of the book were interesting, but did not add anything to the story but confusion. I don't know if I will read another of Ben H. Winters' books, but right now I'm kind of leaning towards not doing so. Maybe you will have a different opinion if you choose to read The Quiet Boy.